This book is called Christina, Katerina, and the Box. I used to have this book when I was your age. If it's one of my kindergartners watching this. Christina, Katerina, and the Box. The dedication says, for our Christina. So I guess it was written by Patricia Lee, and I don't know how to pronounce her last name. So I guess it was a mother writing for her daughter, which is really sweet. Christina, Katerina liked things. Tin cups and old dresses, worn out ties and empty boxes. Any of those things, but mostly boxes. Hat boxes, bakery boxes with see-through lids, and shoe boxes. I think her favorite thing might be boxes. But best of all, she liked big boxes. She was so happy indeed one sleepy summer day, even when her sometimes friend Fats Watson was out of town to see a truck deliver a great tall box. It came on a refrigerator. Oh, how grand and new, Christina's mother said, looking at the refrigerator. It is, oh, it really is, said Christina, looking at the box. So her mommy's excited about the refrigerator, but Christina Katerina is excited about that box, isn't she? And she quickly claimed the box for her own and dragged it under the apple tree. To Mother, who is very neat and tidy, it seemed that boxes were for basements or trash barrels and not for front yards under the apple tree. But she decided that it couldn't hurt. It couldn't possibly hurt for one day or two to have the big box in the front yard there under the apple tree. Look at her mother's expression. And Christina looks like she's thinking. That afternoon, Christina's father cut a window and a door in the box, and Christina painted on turrets and a drawbridge and bolts for the door, and the box became a castle. Inside she put sticks on the windows for iron bars, and she brought in all her cups and saucers and a lot of fig Newtons in case there was a battle and she couldn't get out. I think she has a great imagination. For 2 days, she and her bears lived and played in her castle peacefully. Oh, who do you think that is? Until Fats Watson came home. He sneaked into her castle while she was out to lunch and ate all her fig Newtons, and she locked him in until he hollered, "I'm sorry," 15 times. When she finally let him out, Fats gave Christina's castle a kick and over it went, smack on its side. He wasn't very happy that she locked him in there, was he? Mother came out and saw the fallen box. "I see that's the end of the castle, Christina," she said with a smile and started to haul it away. "But that's no castle," said Christina, hauling it back again. "That's my clubhouse." So Christina pulled it back. And it was for 3 long days, right there under the apple tree. Christina changed the window into a door and the door into a window. She put 2 benches for members and a chair for the president, and she painted "Keep Out, Members Only," and "Danger to Enemies" on the outside. And she let Fats join. Then they met in the clubhouse, which was very dark when the door was closed, and very secret, and they spit on a nickel and swore to be friends forever, and they were. Until one day when Fats got very angry at always being vice president. He climbed on the clubhouse roof and promised to sit there until Christina made him president. Only the roof caved in first and Christina disbanded the club. There he is climbing up there, refusing to get down, and then he fell in. When Mother saw the satin box, she brushed her hands together. Now she would have her nice, neat yard. Well, she said, that is the end of the clubhouse. And she tugged it towards the street. What do you think is going to happen next? You have a prediction? Maybe you're right. But that's no clubhouse, said Christina, tugging it back again. That's my racing car. And I'm late for a race. So she tugged it back. Was that your prediction? That she was going to keep the box anyway? Before speeding off, Christina put the top on the bottom and turned the window into a cockpit. And on the sides painted 2 magnificent curling silver horns, which she blasted at Fats every time she rounded the apple tree. For 2 days she raced around the yard and won every time. Until Fats said he'd take a look at the motor, that it didn't sound quite right. When he cut off the nose to get to the motor, the car collapsed. Oh no! Do you think that was the end of the box? Christina's mother was relieved. Well, that is the end of the racing car, she said, as she pulled the cardboard toward the trash barrel. But that's no racing car, said Christina, pulling it back again. That's the floor of my summer mansion, and I'm going to have a ball. And she did, right there under the apple tree. She patted the box flat and drew furniture on each flap, and a stove and a refrigerator for the kitchen, a bed for each bedroom, and a grand piano and a violin for the living room, where there would be music for her ball. Then she and her bears and Fats dressed up in gowns and high heels, and they invited kings and queens and some presidents and one vice president to come. And everybody came and they danced and danced until their feet hurt and they had to take off their shoes. Even without shoes, Christina had a wonderful time. Until Fats decided the floor needed scrubbing, and he sprayed it down with the garden hose and mopped it. Do you know what happens to cardboard when it gets wet? Until the floor fell apart and puckered and grew lumpy and finally fell apart. When Mother came out a little later, she looked at the front yard. She shook her head and said, "Well," and then, "Is this the end of your grand floor?" "What floor?" said Christina, who was running by. "Oh, you mean that old ragged box? Let's throw it away." Mother breathed a sigh. At last she could have her nice, neat yard. "But quick," Christina said. Fat's mother got a washer and dryer today, and he's bringing 2 ships down now. I said my mother wouldn't mind a bit if we sailed in them here in our front yard, right under the apple tree. Oh, and so they did. Never forget to use your grand imagination.